Imagine a network of ChatGPTs doing work for you while you sleep, work, and chill. Maybe they're coding a new app you don't have time to build, or maybe they're building the perfect study plan for your next final. Whatever it might be, the agent network can do the work for you while you sleep. If nothing else, 2023 has shown us GPT-3, GPT-4, and LLMs as a whole are extremely powerful, but they're not powerful enough to truly run end-to-end to complete tasks for us. In the last video, we created the first version of this vision, a network of AI agents working together while we sleep. In this video, I want to show you V1 and V2 of the agent network, and then give away the VueGPT component generation prompt I've been using to generate Vue components in seconds. It also just happens to be the first agent I have up and running. So real quick, let's recap V1. So as you can see here, we have several agents inside of this kind of diagram here. So we can zoom in, we can scroll around, we can click and move and edit them. We can click on their edges, click on the nodes individually. Not a lot going on here. I'm using a JS library called Cytoscape. Let's reset and let's hit add agent. So you can see here, we're adding a bunch of agents. And it's pretty cool. We can just keep adding, and then we can randomize the connections. So you can see here, we have a bunch of nodes pointing to each other, and you can imagine you have a bunch of agents. Maybe this is the Python generation agent, and then this is the Python validator agent, and then this is the Python tester agent. And you can imagine a slew of agents working together basically to compose a bunch of LLM prompts, their responses, and working together to solve a specific problem, right? So we can also animate the items to go to a different color. That's kind of cool, just testing out some functionality there. And then let me show you the payload. Let me show you what this looks like exactly under the hood. So we can dump, and you can see all the agents and their nodes that they're pointed to. So pretty simple structure. One last feature I want to show off. Let's reset, add a couple agents, randomize the connections, and then we can run save. So as you saw in the last video, if you haven't checked that out, definitely do so. We're using Nuxt and we're using VercelKV. So the new Vercel store that basically just is backed by Redis. So pretty cool. So now if I refresh and load agents, you can see we got all the agents loaded. And if I randomize connections, add an agent, add a couple agents, and then save, you can see we got the agent saved. Let's refresh, load agents, and there you go. So that's pretty cool, just using Redis as a backend store. Obviously not what you want to do long term, or maybe it is, but I just wanted to get something up and running, and I also wanted to test out VercelKV to see how simple it was. So as you can see, V1 is pretty simple. It's just the kind of UI and a simple store. So let's go ahead and move on to V2. This is V2 of the agent network. As you can see, we got a UI upgrade. Let's just go ahead and jump into a real example, right? So you can hit this add real agent, and now you can see we're creating an AI agent. So the AI agent has a name. I'm gonna go ahead and say real Vue agent. Let's call it VueGPT. And then the agent URL. I have a URL set up here, and then the parameter name, which is gonna be query. So I'm gonna hit add. And now you can see we have a single agent, VueGPT, which is pretty cool. And now if I click this agent, I get the agent, the endpoint, and now I have this query text field. So this is where I'm going to, specify the exact query I want to run to generate new Vue components. Let's do create accepts 2 props and disabled. If disabled, don't allow switching. Let's go ahead and run the query. All right, so you can see it fired off. So we now have agent queries that we can view, and we can see that VueGPT has a prompt and a response, and we have NA here because it's still loading. So we're just going to wait for that to fill in. Awesome. So as you can see, we have the prompt and we have the response. So we can scroll and see all the content. Obviously, it isn't super useful in this form, but if we hit copy response, move over to our editor and dump the text here, you can see that it generated a entire Vue.js component. So, and it looks like it's right. We have the template section, checkbox on off. We got the disabled just like we asked for. We have the checked, and then we have that on off prop. It's making them reactive, and then we have this toggle switch here. Let's say that it has made a mistake, right? This has still done 99% of the work of generating a Vue.js component, which is awesome. In the background, this endpoint is basically just a ChatGPT wrapper. But the idea is that you don't need to know or care what the agents are doing in the background, right? I only care that I can connect to some URL, give it some prompt, and then get a response, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit save agent here, and then I'm going to go ahead and refresh. So just want to show off that we have that same loading functionality. So I loaded the queries there. So you can see here we have all of our agents there. That's just hitting a Redis store and saving the prompt and response. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit load agent again, right? So just like that, we have a new component. We can add a couple of mock agents. So just like that, we have a new agent that we can come to and run its specific functionality. One of the big problems that engineers and builders are running into right now, and just people using ChatGPT, is how do we organize all of our prompts? How do we visualize all the functionality we have? I think that the agent network is going to be the way to do that. So anyway, that is version 2. So, the whole idea is that now I can add arbitrary agents at any endpoint that do any work. This just pings an endpoint and specifies a parameter, but it's targeted toward agents that are going to run, and eventually these agents are going to, let me zoom back out, these agents are going to be communicating with each other, right? So right now I just have one, VueGPT component. These other ones are just mock components. You can see here there's nothing going on. But if I click on this, we get the query and everything. But if I click on this, we get the query and the endpoint. You can imagine after some time, we just have this VueGPT component right now. But in the future, it's going to point to another agent, right? And this agent could be a composer agent. It could be a tester agent that tests the VueGPT generated component to make sure that it's right. It also could just be like a memory store. So, imagine that this node isn't an agent, it's, a separate memory store that we want to write to, and then we want another agent to pull from that memory store and do work from. I think that the applications here are pretty wide. The biggest problem that this agent network is going to solve is, so what does this do? What does this get you in the end, right? And this is going to help you build up a library of prompts, agents that all are working together to solve a larger problem for you. And then you can come to this single interface and consume, all the output, all your inputs, and build, learn, whatever your tasks are. The agent network is there to help you do that. So let me show you the prompt that I'm using for the VueGPT component. I know that having Vue in the title is definitely going to attract some Vue engineers. So let's go ahead and look at the prompt. So I have this up in a GIS. I'll definitely link this in the description. So, VueGPT automatically generates Vue 3 script setup lang TS components like a boss. The prompt is here. So, check this out, try this out. Works best with GPT-4. Replace this section here with your query. You can use this text as a standalone if you want to set up this simple Python application that basically runs this. Feel free to do so. You have the main.py file, and then you have VueGPT.py, which contains the functionality to hit the OpenAI endpoint with both the Vue example, the Vue prompt, and just a couple helper methods here. That's going to be in the description. If you're a Vue engineer, definitely check this out. I use this very prompt to build a lot of my Vue components now. It's a really great way to get 90% of the component done. So that's a high level. Let's go ahead and look at the code just for a quick second. I don't want to dive into this too much, but I just want to give you a high level idea of what's going on, just in case you want to build something for yourself, or if you're interested in how it works. So at the top level here, I have the index.vue file inside of a Nuxt application. So pretty standard Nuxt application. And I have one agents component, and then I have a bunch of load, save, update functions. So we have load agent, save agent, update, and then we have the same thing for the queries. And so this directly maps to, this entire agent network here. And all this is doing is basically we have some reference at the top level here, and then we have a couple of load and save calls which hit the API agent network, which hit some of the Nuxt server backend methods. So that's all that's doing. So all the juicy stuff happens inside of agents. So let's go ahead and hop into agents for a moment. And let's minimize everything here so we can get a high level idea. So in the template, we have a couple sections here. So we have these hidden sections. We have the add, the prompt, and then the responses, and then we have all of our controls, right? The controls are, all of our buttons here. So nothing too crazy happening there. We have a lot of emit calls, and inside of the styling, you can see classic Vue 3 component stuff. Here's an agent hook, and then it's just a bunch of component logic. The kind of big core here is that we're using Cytoscape. So here it is. So set up Cytoscape. So I'll link Cytoscape in the description as well, but basically you specify the style, you specify what happens when you tap, and you specify your container, and you specify the layout. So really great way to visualize and handle node graph-based visualizations. So that's basically that. I just wanted to drop in, show the code off a little bit. When those buttons are clicked, when things are happening there, it bubbles up to the top component, which then runs save and load functionality that then hits the Nuxt server API backend, which you can see here. Bam, so you can see agent network, get, post. Let me know if you're interested in a separate Nuxt video. I can go into details on how this is all wired up. I love Nuxt because you can get up and running, writing Vue very quickly. You have to get used to the opinionated directory structure, but in reality, you end up rebuilding this by yourself. As a quick walkthrough of the code, this is the agent network with the first agent, VueGPT. Subscribe if you want to see version 3, version 4, and beyond. And drop a like if this tool looks interesting, and feel free to comment if you have any ideas for new or novel features. I'm building this in public. I want to share my progress. I want to get your input, especially as a Vue engineer. I'm going to be using lots of Vue things, lots of Python things. So if that interests you, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Stay focused and keep building. I'll see you in the next one.